On 1st February 2018, we at the auction house Künker will hold 3 auctions in Berlin. Our auction catalog 301 contains select Bracteates from the Professor Helmut Hahn collection. They are a reflection of the medieval world order, and we will show you what that world order looked like in this film. At the very top of society was the king. While England and France controlled the claim to the throne with hereditary right, the German king was elected by princes. Frederick Barbarossa, whom we can see on this Bracteate, was unanimously elected by both the clerical and the worldly authorities. But an election alone does not make a king. In order to be a king, the elected candidate had to be crowned with the imperial regalia by the Archbishop of Cologne in the Palatine Chapel in Aachen. Frederick is wearing a long robe. He has the imperial crown on his head. In his right hand he is holding a lily scepter, in his left the imperial orb. He is sitting on a folding chair, which is reminiscent of those of Roman officials, the sella curulis. But Frederick is not shown as German king here. Look at the edge of this Bracteate. You can read his name, Fridericus. The second part of the legend is not fully struck. IMPT, Imperator, meaning Emperor Frederick. As emperor, Frederick was above all other kings in the medieval hierarchy. Only the Pope was, actually the exact ranking of emperor and pope was debated in the investiture controversy, which should last many centuries. In any case, Frederick's predecessor, Conrad III, never made it to emperor. This made him the first German king since 962 who was not crowned emperor. We can see him on this Bracteate, which was, incidentally, the most expensive Bracteate ever to be sold when it last appeared on the market in 1987. On the right and the left side of Conrad's head, you can see the letters REX, meaning Rex, king. Conrad is wearing the imperial crown. It is shown in such detail that we are able to see the textile cap that made wearing the crown a little more comfortable. In his right hand, he is holding the imperial sword. In his left, he is holding the flagged lance. It was a symbol of the king's ban. The king's ban entailed the Heerbann, the right to call for an army. It also entailed the Blutbann, which stands for high jurisdiction. There was also the Friedensbann, the right to keep people and property under royal protection. In addition, he had something we would call legislative and executive authority, the Verordnungsbann and the Verwaltungsbann. If the king and fief of the prince were the county, for example, he transferred his king's ban to the count, and as a symbol of that, the count would then get the flagged lance. We encounter these flagged lances as a sign of power on Bracteates again and again, with Louis III, Landgrave of Thuringia, Hermann II, Count of Weimar, with Albert the Bear, Count of Anhalt, Otto I, Margrave of Brandenburg, and Conrad of Wettin, Margrave of Meissen. These princes have one common trait. They defended the empire against all invaders. Can you see how well equipped our Landgrave of Thuringia is? His armor is similar to those we can admire on the Bayeux tapestry. He's wearing a helmet with a nasal and a long chain mail. He's protected by a kite shield. His horse is a strong dapple grey. Can you see the spots that depict the color of its skin? It was expensive to get such equipment. The horse alone cost 5 times the price of a farm ox. The chainmail and the helmet were twice as expensive as a war horse. In addition, one had to have a sword, a lance, a saddle, and much more. Today, it is estimated that it took the cultivation of around 150 hectares of fertile farmland to generate the surpluses to finance one single knight. But the effort was worthwhile. A heavily armed army was necessary to protect the borders of the empire. However, for this kind of protection, knights were not the only thing needed. It also took the clergy, the bishops, abbots and abbesses. We can see one of them here, Wichmann von Seeburg, Archbishop of Magdeburg. He is wearing his precious liturgical robe. On his head, the mitre. A deacon on the right is handing him his crosier. This crosier was the sign of clerical power, just like the flagged lance of the count symbolized the worldly power. The deacon on the left is holding the ferula, a staff with a cross on top, which was another insignia of episcopal power. You're wondering how a bishop could protect the empire with a crosier and a ferula? Take a closer look. The Bracteate shows Wichmann right in the middle of his fight against evil. He is raising his hands in prayer, and this prayer was seen as the most important kind of protection for the empire. At the time, and everyone believed this, Catholic Christianity was protected by the men and women who had given their lives for their faith. The martyrs were dead, but they were still present and approachable, which is wonderfully illustrated by this Bracteate from Merseburg. We can see John I, Bishop of Merseburg. He's wearing the mitre and he's holding the crosier we are already familiar with. But he is not praying. The man at his right, our left, is doing it for him. This man is marked as a martyr by the palm branch and the halo. We can detect which martyr it is by looking at the bottom. Two torturers are holding St. Lawrence in place on an iron grill. Through his suffering, medieval faith tells us, the saint had got himself a seat close to God. From this position he could help those who besieged him very effectively. And Lawrence had shown that he could actually do it. During the great Hungarian invasion of 1955, King Otto I had prayed for his help at the Battle of Lechfeld. Otto was victorious. Lawrence had come to their aid. Otto thus gave Lawrence the bishopric of Merseburg as a sign of gratitude, and the Bishop of Merseburg had this precious Bracteate minted. Just like every other person in the Middle Ages, saints were included in the concept of gift exchange. We have seen many men on all of these Bracteates, but where are the women? They hardly mattered in the Middle Ages, but there was one exception. There were powerful convents led by women. This Bracteate shows us Abbess Beatrix of Quedlinburg. She is holding the ferula and thus demonstrating her power. Just like a king, she is sitting on a precious folding chair, decorated with animal heads. On this Bracteate, the Abbess Bertha von Nordhausen is fighting against evil in prayer. Saint Eustace has come at her pleading to intervene and help the people. Can you see the ferula? Once again, an abbess is demonstrating that she has the same rank as the bishop. And the peasants? Where are the men and women who tilled the fields and thus made the pomp and splendor of the aristocracy possible? We do not see them on coins, but they existed, and those on top did actually think about their place in the world. In France, the idea of 3 estates came about, or, as the Bishop Adalbero of Laon put it, God's house is thus divided into 3. Some pray, others fight, and yet others work. In the High Middle Ages, a time of a strictly hierarchical image of the world, no one would even have considered that the third group one day might want to stop their work that financed the luxurious life of the aristocracy and the clergy. We at the auction house Künker are happy to invite you to our Berlin auctions 2018. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any further questions.